Hello, everybody. Miss Goodwin here, which is kind of funny for me to say because the kids actually call me Miss Sam right now, but I will be transitioning to Miss Goodwin shortly after graduation. When I was reading through this initially, I definitely aligned with certain philosophies, but as I began to reflect on what I learned from them, I realized that I have an alignment and um, I think that I can relate and or have used all of these philosophies at some point in my educational career so far. Or what I'm trying to say really is that there is a time and a place for each one of these philosophies to exist and to stand behind it. So I can't really say that I am a completely one way. I definitely, especially in the beginning of my career, have changed. I've been in education for like 7 years. Prior to that, in early childhood education. So how I view the world and what is important to teach continues to change, which I think is good that we know that that's part of what we are as educators is constantly being able to evolve and look through these different types of philosophies and know when it is important to, for instance, existentialism is definitely important and anytime, but when there's current events or things like that, and things at home that we really need to emphasize in a child's life when that is appropriate. Social reconstruction is always evolving and staying with current events so that you can properly educate and stay non-biased in that situation to assist with children's development of ideas and growth. Um, and I thought that maybe I wouldn't find the value in perennialism, excuse me, but I still feel like there are some universal truths and timeless ideas that need to carry through whether or not, students agree with that. They still, it's important for the foundation of things that have happened in the past to present for them to be aware of that. So, like I said, there really isn't a specific um, philosophy that I am just all about, which I surprised myself with. I thought that I definitely would have one secure alignment, but I don't. And to answer some of the questions, teaching to me um, should be student centered most of the time. However, there are some really, specific times where teacher centered teaching needs to take place. I'm just using my referencing my experience in a kindergarten classroom. I want to possibly teach at a non-public school that a charter school that emphasizes in different things like outdoor learning and embraces awareness and mental health and things like that. And I think that's more of a student-centered um, based learning. However, in public education, there are definitely times where we need to be teacher-centered so that the students can find value in certain things that is essential for their learning growth. Um, I think learning happens all the time, and it's just your willingness to be able to accept that. Like, there's always an opportunity. Somebody once said, "Every moment is a teachable moment," and it can translate into our personal and professional lives. Like, there is knowledge being given to you at any point of the day. You can take that in and receive that. It's just how you do that, and if you view it as that. Students' roles in their own education are just to be open-minded enough to receive the education, kind of like what I said before. Like, they need to be driven and want to learn. I could sit down even with kindergartners, and a kindergartner that wants to learn, is going to be taking in so much more than a student who's distracted or has other things going on in their life. And that's our job as an educator too, is to prepare and get the students ready to be in that headspace. Knowledge is power. That's the only answer I have to that question. And I've heard that. And really, into my 30s, where I started to care a whole bunch more about wanting to know things and becoming obsessed with, like, I want to do better. Like, anytime that I watch TV, which is very rare, I always want it to be a documentary so I can be taking in information. Anytime that I'm in the car, I want to try to listen to a podcast so that I can always be taking in information. So knowledge is knowing and being very confident about certain things. Like, there's knowledge all over. I have friends that are musicians and they're knowledgeable about music, and I tell them I'm knowledgeable about early childhood and education, and I still have a lot to learn. So those are my alignments with my educational philosophies, and like I said, I think that they will continually evolve, and I will have more experiences to relate to different types of those teachings. Thanks, guys.